Hello parents, my name is Richard Grubb, and today I'll be summarizing the history of special education law in the United States. I'll be highlighting some important historical judicial decisions, and then giving you a few resources to help you stay up to date with current legal trends in special education. So let's get started. Special education came into existence basically within the last 50 years. Taking a moment to learn about special education history in the U.S., it'll help you understand where the families of your students are coming from and help you give a clearer picture of where the industry has been and where it is yet to go. Excuse me. The first advocacy group to fight for quality special education were made up of parents whose children were marginalized, all the way back as far as 1933. The majority of these family associations began making waves in the 1950s when their lobbying encouraged the passage of laws that provided training for teachers who worked with the deaf, hard of hearing, intellectually disabled, learning disabled children. And in the 1960s, multiple laws were passed, granting funds for special education students. And then in the 1970s, this brought more significant improvement to the lives of special education students and their families, than any other decade in the special education history. First there was the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This guaranteed the civil rights to all disabled people and kids and required accommodations for disabled students in schools. Then in 1975, you have the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, also known as EHA, and this guaranteed and enforced the right of children with disabilities to receive free appropriate education. This had a multiple purpose of providing unique educational opportunities. That way it suited the needs of disabled students and delivering it in the least restrictive environment. That way they weren't forced to be stuck in one place possible. This law is still the foundation of modern day special education history in the U.S. today. The EHA Act underwent a number of revisions and became known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also known as an IDEA. This emphasized the use of individual education plans, IEPs, which I'm sure you'll hear about soon, for all students. IDEA brought back a widespread focus on providing the best researched and the most effective methods for special education teaching and their students. Not only were students guaranteed an equal education, they were provided with viable schooling options, individualized attention that they needed. This was a very positive step in special education history. And then in 2004, the No Child Left Behind Act, it provided further accountability to schools and added technology assistance that wasn't available before. Now that's the Basic Rights Act that are set in place. Similar things have started and formed that are basic like the ones in 1933, and these groups work toward a number of differing goals in regarding to teaching methods. Now let's talk about a couple court cases that were put in place for parents' rights and students' educational rights. The first one is Danny R. Versus the State Board of Education. This court case mandated free appropriate public education for every kid and for each handicapped child, and it set forth procedures designed to ensure that child's education needs were meet requirements. School officials were required to determine appropriate placement for each child, and then it developed an IEP that tailors to the child's education individual needs. The next case is very similar. It was Oberti versus the Board of Education. This is from 1993. It established inclusion, which basically helped them students stay in the same classes as non-disability students. It provided supplementary aids and services as the base of a school system because it is a fundamental value of public education for children with disabilities. And this case established that if placement outside the classroom was necessary, the school district, must then include the child in as many school programs with children who do not have these disabilities. Lastly, I want to give you a few resources to help you stay up to date with the current legal trends in special education. First, you have NICHY. It's NICHCY, and this serves the nation as a central source of information on disabilities for infants, toddlers, children, and your youth. It's easy to read articles on IDEA, the law. It gives you laws authorizing early intervention services and special education, and it's got also effective practices. You can find this website at NICHY.org/families/community. Next, you have Through the Looking Glass. This is a nationally recognized center that has pioneered research, training, and services for families in which parents has a disability or a medical issue. And the mission is just to create, demonstrate, and encourage all non-pathological and empowering resources and model early intervention services for families with disability issues with their child, and it integrates the personal disability experience and then the disability culture, and that way everybody can work together. Lastly, I'm from the state of Ohio, so if any of you happen to be from this great state, we have a resource right here. It's called the Association for Developmentally Disabled and Hattie Laurelman Central Ohio Services. This is a great service that provides residential and recreational services to children and adults that have intellectual or maybe developmental disabilities. And it provides a half-day, year-round child care for children ages 1 to 5 living in the North Linden area in Columbus, or also other surrounding Central Ohio areas. During the school year, they offer physical and occupational and speech therapy, as well as early intervention services, early childhood education, and even social work services. You can go to this website. It's cap4kids.org/Columbus/special needs educational special, or you can even call them directly. It's 614-486-4361. This actually concludes this presentation. I hope you found this very informative and helpful, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. Have a great day.